mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. The people shall take them, and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
Because when I was in Israel and I saw there was some Ethiopian cats, some Jewish
Beta Israel,
and they were like, "Yo," they were what?
They're called Beta Israel.
Beta Israel.
Beta Israel, and they're discriminated against.
Yeah,
in the
they were
Jewish
telling me how racist it was. They were like this. Yeah, I was talking to them. They were like, "Yo, brother, man, we're big fan." He says, "Yo, it's so fucking racist here." I go, "Why?" You're all Jewish, but it's like that supremacy
Different
shit.
kind of Jew.
Ashkenazi supremacy.
You see what I'm saying? And these are the same people that suffered. I go, why though? This is what they were telling me. I go, oh man. So go ahead.
And no one would condone that. No one would condone that.
Don't you think that's fucked up?
Anti-black racism, that's horrific.
And it doesn't matter what religion we are, because there are some Muslims some Arabs that don't even pray in the same mosque as some with the African ones. And there are more African Muslims than there are fucking Arab ones.
Oh yeah,
way more.
Mostly
in Nigeria,
people.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
And Indonesians have the most Muslims.
Yeah.
But it's like, why wouldn't you pray next to? It's rough.
All the praises and the honor goes to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem, Recha Ha Quadash, and double honors to the elder apostles and even the elder bishops of Great Millstone. Honors as well to you other brethren, you fellow believers and followers of this faith. Also shalom to you few sisters as well, you sincere ones. And shalom to the hopefully elect, shalom to the elect. I want to touch on this video. It seems that, there's only a particular sect of people who are allowed to hate. In fact, it seems like every other nationality seems to be allowed to indulge in that behavior, right, than us. But for whatever reason, when we open the Bible, this is not nothing that we're just making up. We open the Bible, and I read quite a few scriptures to show you that the Most High God, the one you call God, Yahweh, the Most High, Supreme Being, right, is a racist. And that's all we've been reading. And the proof is in it, because what happened to us, right? What happened to nations as they go down, and what happened to nations as they come up? So, we can go to Genesis 25, Jacob and Esau, but I don't know. This Jake, he's sitting up here. Why? It is head baffled. He doesn't catch it, but he knows what we teach, and what he does is the same racism that is perpetuated around the globe. He equates us with that, and we're the ones standing up against what's being done to us. So he'll see all this so-called hatred that everyone is allowed to spew out, and then he'll connect it with us and say we're the problem. See, you guys are the problem. You're the one pushing it. But meanwhile, you're sitting on the podcast, right? And everything that was built that you're sitting upon was by rape, robbery, murder, and theft. But, I don't want to sit up there and try to bash Jake head and to get it. But we're going to explain it according to the Bible. Deuteronomy 32:7. It says, and 32:8, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, their land, their property, right? And wherever you went, where your property was, you were, When he separated the sons of Adam and set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his portion. Jacob is his lot of his inheritance. So, when you look at this, you can clearly see his inheritance is a people, right? Before it's even a place. And we can clearly see that the Lord has separated his people from other people. Psalms 147:19, right? Let me get that real quick. Because it doesn't seem like we've gone to church, and this is all Christian theology for the way we've been taught and how it's been taught to us, and that's why we all messed up. All through the Bible is nothing but pure so-called racism, and for whatever reason, nobody tends to see the picture of what the Most High has laid out. 147-19, he sheweth his, was it 19? He sendeth, this is another translation. Let me read it. It says, he sheweth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. Okay, it went back to the KJV. So, let's see what the NIV says. It says, he revealeth the word to Jacob, the laws and his decrees to Israel. He has done this for no other nation. They do not know his laws. This is the NIV. So I don't know if this guy's a Christian or Pan-African. I believe he's Pan-African. Why are you considering yourself Pan-African if you're not considering separating yourself as a so-called race or culture from other people? That's a form of racism in itself. Other than that, you wouldn't call yourself a Pan-African. You would call yourself a Pan-everybody. But, it's what it is. These people, and then he was talking about the Arabs. There's more Arabs in Africa that worship Islam and, which we've adopted into that religion. The Moors have done it. But still, there are still other nations. Okay? So they're not with it. Let's go to Genesis 9. 9 and 20. And Noah began to be a husbandman in the planet and vineyard. And he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine and was drunken, right? And he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw that nakedness of his father, which you're not supposed to do, and told his two brethren without, right? So, number one, if it was by accident, you were supposed to just, turn your head. But he goes and tell them. And Shem, Ham, and Japheth, Shem and Japheth took the garments and laid it upon both their shoulders and went backwards, meaning they picked it up and they held it and went backwards. They knew his father was there. Their father was there. And covered the nakedness of their father. So the Lord allowed Noah to get drunk. That was a lot he had to deal with. That was a lot of pressure, a lot of death. You know what I'm saying? The average one of us couldn't withstand something like that. We'd be drunken too. Anyway, and their faces were backwards, and they saw not the father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew that his younger son had done what he done unto him, and said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. So you can clearly see this separation, and we should know that these were all so-called black men. Now, in white racist biblical theology, they would show you as Moses and Zipporah. They would show Moses, since they painted the pictures and showed the movies of the Ten Commandments, so everybody was white. So they paint the picture of Moses white and Zipporah black, so-called. When they both had melanated complexions, right? Zipporah may have been a little darker, but they both have melanated complexions, meaning race has nothing to do with color. And this is why this Jake sat here and said, we're black, and then we see them there, they got complexion, and why they, I just don't understand. Of course you don't understand, because you never listen to us, right? You never listen to us tell you the truth, right? Deuteronomy 31:3. The Lord thy God, he will go over before thee, and he will destroy these nations from before thee, and thou shalt possess them, right? Going into the book Joshua. So it says, and Joshua, he shall go over before thee as the Lord have said, right? That's what it says in Joshua. So the Lord, through history, and we know that Malachi 3:6 says the Lord changeth not. The Lord hasn't changed. It's just been a portion of time. Since we came into slavery, what do you think happened? And this guy said, oh, we was all after what they went through. Well, what the hell about what we went through? This is crazy how he just omitted that. We're not going to go into that detail either, because this proves when you start going into things like that, your vid doesn't stay up. But for truth's sake, Deuteronomy 28:68 says you would be brought into bondage again, and with ships this time. And you shall serve your enemies. Right? So that right there tells you that that's a curse from the Lord. Okay? Because he said in the 15th verse, if you're not hearken to the voice of the Lord, that all these curses shall come upon you. Meaning we were his. And we still are. We still are his. Let's go to Isaiah 14. I think it's 14. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. So why isn't he saying choose everybody? But it seems that in order for people to make themselves fit the prophecy, they had to go and say, okay, that's us. But the 28:64 Deuteronomy says we will be scattered into all nations. Anyway, it set them in their own land, and the strangers of the Israelites shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them. The house, when you look at the word house, that's why it's considered the house of Israel, meaning a people first. Right? If you live in a house, it's only a house because you have people dwelling. You have a family in that house, that dominion. If there's nobody in the house and it's abandoned, you would call it a building. Some people might still call it an old house or an empty house, and that's prime example too, an empty house, meaning there's no people. So when you see the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives who captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Right? Let's go to Leviticus 20:26. So we clearly see that the Lord here is making a great separation between nations and people, and who's coming up and who's going down, as 1 Samuel, the second chapter says, with the prayers of Hannah. You can see that some are rising and some are falling, right? Leviticus 20:26, it says, and ye shall be holy unto me, for I, the Lord, am holy, meaning set apart, separated, and have severed you from other people, that ye shall be mine. Now this is interesting, because I'm going to look up this word severed, which we know goes from sever, and we should know what this means, but maybe they have a little bit more insight on this definition. And this is my first time actually looking this up. It says to put or keep apart, to divide, to remove, right? We can see this in Amos 3:1. The Lord has chosen thee. Okay. Separate, part, divide. So that's what separate technically mean. But you see here it says to keep, to put apart. Is this not racist? I don't understand the Christians, I mean, maybe some of them don't understand because they never fully read the Bible. And I don't think the preachers are going to teach them the truth, because they knew from the beginning, when they took the pages out of the Bible and gave it to us. And, this proves it's not the white man's Bible, because they would not have to take pages out to give it to us. But it proves that they took pages out and gave us the slave Bible. Then when they put it back, we was already re-educated, right? And we was already submissive and broken at that point, so it didn't matter. And then they set up the churches, the 501c3s. Lyndon Baines Johnson, I believe, was behind that part. And then they set up these great leaders to tell the people to do good. Be blessed, follow God, and Jesus will always prevail. although they do nothing that Jesus say to do, Yahushua. That's why he quoted Isaiah, these people speak sweetly with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Anyway, let's go to Malachi 1. I have loved you, saith the Lord, yet. So first we need to know, according to the Bible, who Esau, Edom, actually is. So when you go to Obadiah 1 and 3, you can also go to Genesis 36, I believe. It says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, that thou dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high. Right? So you go to any city downtown, whether it's D.C., Baltimore, New York, Chicago, wherever you go, Los Angeles, everywhere has a city. When you're looking for the bird's eye view, it looks like the clefts of the rock. That's where the glass is made from, the rock, the mortar. That's what you're living in. You're actually living in caves. Your house with the sheetrock and the windows, the holes, right? Because that's what cave mean. When you get a cavity, it means hole. So, thus dwelt Edom in Mount Seir. Seir actually, if I'm not mistaken, means hairy. So this is why when we go to Genesis 25, it says he came out hairy, all over like a hairy garment, So that's easy to put together. So Malachi 1 and 4, I'm going to jump to 4. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they should build, but I will throw down and call them the border of wickedness and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever. So I just wanted to clear that up. Psalms 83 and 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consult against thy hidden ones. They have said, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the true name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So these are the crafty counsels they came up against, and this is why you Jakes, you worship every religion, every holiday on the planet. I'm talking about networked in a whole. You might got some Korean Christians or Jehovah's Witnesses, but as a whole, our people, so-called blacks and Hispanics, natives, we worship Christianity, Catholicism, Islam, Buddhism, anything, because we're totally a lost people. Romans 9 and 4, and I'm going to try to just make it quick. It says, 9 and 3, for I could wish that myself were cursed from Yahushua, it says Christ, for my brethren and my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to who pertain the adoption and the glory and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of Yahweh, a God, and the promises, whose are the fathers, and of whom is concerning the flesh Yahushua came, who is over all. So when we read on, it says, not as though the word of Yahweh have taken none effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel, right? Like even you got Esau, who came out of what's her name? Isaac and Rebekah. Isaac, right? Even Abraham, which came out of, Ishmael, Isaac came out of Abraham and Ishmael. But guess what? When you go on down the line, you had Hebrews, but then you had Hebrews Israelites. And then you have our people who don't condone being an Israelite, who don't accept being an Israelite. It says that they are the children of the flesh. These are not the children of God, right? But the children of the promise are counted for the seed. So we can see, for this is the word of promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. And you can keep reading, and it goes on, I'll have mercy and I'll have mercy, because it was already ordained from the beginning between Jacob and Esau who was going to be chosen. The Lord already set it up. So we can clearly see what I wanted to show is in the Old Testament, you had a chosen and a non-chosen. In the New Testament, it shows in Romans 9 and all through the Bible. If you look up Gentiles, just means gentium, which means foreigner, right? It's not even a Hebrew nor Greek word. It's a Latin word. So you had words that spell the same and different in meaning. So you had Israelites who didn't accept being Israelites. You had Grecian Israelites, You had Roman Israelites. Hell, Paul said Paul was a Roman citizen. So he would have called himself a Roman. So you get the point. But this Jake can't see what's going on because he's blinded. It wasn't given to him. The bottom line is he's sitting up there trying to figure out why. Well, you know why? Because the Lord blinded you. He haven't given you the mystery, the secret. And it's because the Lord wanted racism. It ain't about your skin color so much. It's about racism. Race has everything to do with nationality. That's all I have on that. Shalom.